Alright, so it looks like I'm live and streaming now. For those just joining in, my name is Marcus Placona and I'm a developer evangelist for a company called Twilio. Twilio is a communications API that helps developers like yourselves adding voice, SMS, video and IP messaging into your applications. But today I just want to talk about, I will be talking a little bit about Twilio, but most of what I want to talk about today is JavaScript. And I also want to talk about something else that is very, very close to my heart. I don't know how many people are watching right now. I think there are 5 people watching. Oh, hey, we have Phil Nash just joining us. Hey, Phil, how's it going? I want to talk about Tamagotchis today. Like I said, it's something that is very, very close to my heart. I spent a lot of time when I was a young kid actually playing with Tamagotchis, and I really miss them. Like, I had a really, really good time with my Tamagotchis. Obviously, it was really sad when they died, but then, you know, you could always start again, and then you start, you would take care of them, you would give them a name and everything. So it was, yeah, it was really good. Like, I had a good time with Tamagotchis. But I really miss the fact that they just don't exist anymore. Like, I just can't find a Tamagotchi anymore. Obviously, if you go on eBay, you'll find some. But what I really wanted to do was, I wanted to have a Tamagotchi anywhere. And being over 30, it just looks a bit weird if I'm carrying my own Tamagotchi on a plane, for example, or if I'm just walking around with a pink Tamagotchi. So what I decided to do was I decided to build my own Tamagotchi using JavaScript, which is what I want to show you today. We're going to be using Node.js for this and a little bit of Twilio. So the idea is you can send the Tamagotchi an SMS message, and as soon as the Tamagotchi gets this message, it will do something according to the message you sent. So you can do things like play with it, or you can feed it. You can take it to the bathroom as well, whenever it needs it, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. So let's just start by creating a very quick Node.js application. Okay, I'm going to try and take you through all the steps to do it, but we have the chat here, and if you have any questions, just go on the chat and give me a shout, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Also, whenever you join in, just let me know where you're coming from and how the weather is where you are. Okay, so I'm in England right now. As you can probably see, it's actually sunny today. It's normally very rainy and dark around here, but today it's very sunny. So it's a good day to do some streaming. I'm going to try and build a Tamagotchi using Node.js here, which you should be able to control just using your phone. It should be pretty fun to build. All I've done so far is I told you that you need to use Node.js to do this. So you need to have Node.js installed. You can install that with Brew pretty easily if you're running on a Mac. If you're not using a Mac, if you're using Windows, for example, you should be able to install that just by going to the Node.js website. I talked about one of the frameworks I'll be using here, which is called Happy. And Happy is just a web framework for Node.js. You could use something else like Express.js, for example, if you wanted to. I've been using Happy for quite a while. It's very lightweight and it works really well for me. So I'm just going to carry on using Happy here. What I've done so far is I've imported Happy into my file. I've created a file called app.js, and I've created a package.json as well, which has just got my, the name of my application and some details here, and my name and the license I want. And then I've imported util as well, so we're going to be using util later to do some string manipulation, very, very light string manipulation here, so nothing really complex. And I have started my server connection here. So I'm going to be running this on localhost, and I'll be running that on port 8000. You can choose whatever port works for you. 8000 is a good port for me. So the next thing I need to do is I need to create a route. So when someone comes into my application, they can go like to a URL, for example, and they can see whatever is behind this URL. So I'm going to create a very quick Hello World application here, and it's basically so we can see that the application is running. We have everything that is needed. We've got all of the stuff we need. So to do that, I just create a new root, and into this root I pass an object. Okay. One of the arguments on this object is the method, and the method is what kind of HTTP verb I want to use here, which in this case is going to be get, because I want people to go to localhost 8000 slash or just localhost 8000, and they'll see my hello world in there. You need to have a path as well. So the path is what I just said. The path is where you want what you want the endpoint to be, which in this case I just want it to be slash. The next thing is a handler. So what happens when someone actually hits this slash? What do I want to do? So I wanted to return a function. And again, if you have any questions, just pop it on the chat and I'll be happy to try and answer those questions. I have Phil Nash here today just trying to help me with the moderation. So if I'm not answering your questions, I'm sure he's going to help us out with answering questions. By the way, when you get in, just tell me your name and tell me where you're from and how the weather is. I'm in London and the weather is pretty good today. Cool. So back into my handler. I'm gonna return a function from this handler, and I'm gonna pick up a request and a reply from that. And inside, I am gonna reply with hello world. And again, this is just so we know that the application is running as it should be. Now the last thing I need to do here is I need to start my server, because like I've initiated the happy server, I have created a root for it, but I haven't actually started my server. To start a happy server is very, very easy. You just go server.start as you'd expect, and you pass a function into that as well. And there you go. This is how you start. I'm gonna make it a little bit easier for me, and I'm gonna do console.log, and I'll pass something like server is app. So I know that my server is up and running. Now if I go back to my command line here, I can just run node mon. You could just run node app.js, for example. I use nodemon, which is this amazing tool, which basically it just watches that your application files have updated, and it just restarts the application for you. It's just so you don't need to stop and start the application every single time. So it's just basically a watcher, and it keeps an eye on package.json, so he knows what to start, and it keeps an eye on every one of the files inside your project. So nodemon. Yeah, Remy Sharp of JSBin. Yeah. Well, we've got an error. Okay, so cannot find module happy. That will make sense because obviously I didn't install happy. So that will make total sense. So let's just go back to the browser really quickly and see how to install happy. npm install happy. So let's go ahead and do that. npm install happy. And once that's done, you should be able to run the application. Yeah, so Phil's saying he's only had a very cheap Tamagotchi when he was young. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I think mine only lasted 30 days as well, which was really sad. And one thing you're going to notice on this is our Tamagotchi doesn't really die. I remember just being really upset because I'd be taking care of it for so long and I get so attached to it. hey, I have friends, okay? So it's not like my only friends was a Tamagotchi. I had friends, but I remember just growing so attached to it, and then it would just die regardless, which was really a shame. Like you would play for it for a few months, and then you know at a point you would just know that it would die after 30 days. So you will find that our Tamagotchi doesn't die. Hey, we have Kevjix from France. Ah, it's rainy. Oh, okay. Yeah, so hopefully some of our decent weather will be going to France. It's usually the other way. I promise you, it's usually the other way. But hopefully some of our nice weather will be going to France, and hopefully we'll stay here as well. But anyway, so we've just installed Happy here, so we should be good to go. Now I'm gonna go back to my terminal here, and I'm gonna run nodemon, and hopefully the application will start, and it has. Okay, so it's saying starting, it's running Node app.js. Like I said, nodemon does it for you, so you don't need to run this all the time. And it's saying server is up, so this means this is my message. So this means the server is running right now, which is awesome. Let's go to localhost 8000 and see what happens. We should see something like a hello world on the screen. And there we have it. We have a hello world. Very good. So nothing really exciting here. It's just a hello world, right? But you can tell that really, really quickly, you just put together a hello world application. You can create as many routes as you want. You can do posts and puts and gets and everything you need. So it's kind of easy. We wrote, what, 20 lines of code here. There's some spaces and everything. And you've just got a server running. So this is how powerful this thing actually is. Right, so we've installed Happy, but like I said, we're going to be using Twilio later. So why don't we just go ahead and install Twilio as well? npm install Twilio, and I think if you pass -- save at the end, you don't need to run that again because you just install like globally. I think that's what it is, or oh no, when you pass save, it will just, yeah. So Phil's saying, do you need to save your Happy module to your package? Yeah, I do. So I can do npm install Happy Twilio and Happy, and that gets saved into my module. So next time if I put this on GitHub, for example, it would just be on my package.json. So I think this is the right way to do, right? So let's run that again with Twilio and Happy, and then we get them both installed. So Kevjix, you're a developer as well, right? Are you a JavaScript developer? Oh, that's good. Yeah. So Kevjix is saying he does some JavaScript, so he's not a Toto expert. So you're on the right place. I'm not a Toto expert either, but hopefully we're gonna learn some stuff together. Phil is actually way better at JavaScript than I am, and I feel really lucky he's here today, because if I make any mistake, he'll be able to help me. Oh, AS3 and Air, nice. Yeah, I used to do a lot of Adobe Air development in the past. I did some mobile applications in Adobe Air, and it was awesome. AS3 was great. AS3 was really good. I was really sad when Adobe decided to sort of put it behind. But anyway, now we've installed Happy and we've installed Twilio. So we should be able to go into our package.json and see that Happy and Twilio are listed here. This is really great because next time we do npm install, next time we just download this application from GitHub, for example, and we do npm install, we just download Happy and Twilio automatically, so we don't need to do anything else. Hey, we've got someone else new here, M4K, who's a 4 out of 10 JavaScript and 7 out of 10 jQuery. Well, it's really not too bad. It's really not too bad. I mean, as long as you can get stuff done, then you're pretty good. And yeah, who doesn't love a bit of jQuery? Right, just really quickly, what I'm trying to build here is a Tamagotchi application using JavaScript. We've started. We're using the Happy framework, which is just an awesome web framework for Node.js, and we just built a super quick Hello World application here. If you want to copy some of the code, I'm going to post a URL to some of this code to the chat. So in case you just want to follow along and just copy some of the codes instead of like do whatever I'm doing on the screen, just go and copy that and you should be good as well. Just to sort of go back to where we were, we have NodeMon installed, which was built by the awesome Remy Sharp, which is the guy behind JSBin as well. And NodeMon just keeps tabs with everything we change on a file. And whenever we change something, like I'm going to just add a space and save, you see that it restarts. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, the project is on GitHub as well. Let me just send you the URL. Boom. That's the URL for the projects on GitHub. You will find that there's a Heroku button as well. So if you can't waste, like if you really want to get done with this, if you really want to get started, there's a deploy to Heroku button on this blog post, which you can just use and just deploy the thing and start playing with it. I know it's awesome. Like I'm really looking forward to playing with it. But let's carry on. So we have a Hello World running here. And right now it doesn't really do much. It just shows Hello World. And we're gonna make it awesome now. So we're gonna start adding some logic to it. I'm gonna go ahead and stop. Well, I don't need to stop that. I'm just gonna open a new tab because this is running on the background. Cool. Just started a new tab. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create a new file called config.js. So I'm gonna do touch config.js. And this file will have some of my settings. You should see that I have a config.js here. So I like storing most of my settings on objects. So I'll just create a variable called config here. And this will take a structure. And I'm going to start adding things into this structure or these objects, however you want to call this. Config.port is the port I want to use for my application. So I know we hard coded this to be 8000. Some people prefer to just configure these things on a config file. So if they need to change ports, it just makes it much easier. So I'm going to go and use process.env. And you can call this variable anything. So I have these variables in my environment variables. Okay, so I have a variable called port in my environment variable. In case I didn't have that, I could just do something like 8000 instead. And that way I'm going to try, well, Node.js will try and get information from here. If this doesn't exist, it will just use this. Okay, so that's pretty standard. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to configure this with my number. So config.mynumber, which is going to be my telephone number. And obviously because this is the internet and I don't want to put my own telephone number on the internet and start getting calls like crazy, I'm just going to use an environment variable as well. So process .env.my number, and again I have my credentials here. Yeah, so Phil's just saying, hey, remember not to show your Twilio credentials. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to not show my Twilio credentials. Cool, so this is my number, so config.mynumber, and it's got my number, and that's coming from my environment variables. If you don't have environment variables set up, it's really easy to do. There's a blog post on the Twilio website as well, where you can see how to set up how to set up environment variables. I think Phil wrote it, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on the internet where you can find. There's a bunch of places on the internet where you can find this. Now I'm gonna create a new config entry, and I'll call this Twilio config. Okay, and that's where my Twilio stuff is gonna be. Okay, that one is only for Ruby. Okay, yeah. Adding environment variables to your environment is super easy. If you just Google that, you'll be able to find that. But anyway, so back to my Twilio config. I'm gonna create a new. So this is like an object inside an object. So I'll be able to go like config.port and config.twilio config. Something. Oh, there we go. Phil just posted a URL that shows you how to do that. This is for his Ruby blog post. So if you're a Ruby developer and you're interested, there you go. So in this config file, I need a few things. I need my account seed. This is my Twilio account seed. So you need to have a Twilio account for this. Process.env. Let me just copy this. I don't need to. So process.env.twilio account seed. So that's my account seed. Next up, I am gonna get my authentication token. This is again my auth token I can get from my Twilio account. You can get a free Twilio account if you don't have one. You just go to twilio.com/try-twilio, or just go to twilio.com and you will be able to create a Twilio account. And this is my Twilio auth token. Cool. And the last thing is my Twilio number. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to get a Twilio number in just a second. So number and process.env.twilio number. Cool. So this is all the Twilio information I should need. Phil's just posted a link to try Twilio. I'm gonna give you a pretty sweet number you can text later or you can call, and this will give you a little Twilio prize you can use in your account. I'm just going to do a last thing here, which is I'm going to configure some actions. Like I said, with the Tamagotchi, if you remember well, there's a few things you can do with it. You can pet it, for example. You can give it some food, and now we're going to configure some of the things we can do with that. So config.actions are the actions we're gonna use with a Tamagotchi, and this will take an array. So one of them will be called pet, and that, like I said, that takes an array. And we can put some games here. So Hangman is one game I like to play with my Tamagotchi. Tic-tac-toe is another one. What else? Human-not. Not human, no, human-not. Now, does anyone want to tell me about a game they would like to play with their Tamagotchis? Just post something on the chat and I'll add it in. London Bridges as well. London Bridges is good. Cool. So these are some of the games. If you can think of anything else, just send me. Now I'm going to configure some of the foods because we all need a very balanced diet. So we're going to configure some foods. Apples are good. Okay. I'm sure our Tamagotchi is going to love apples. But our Tamagotchi is going to love Cheetos as well. Can you play Pong with the Tamagotchi? Yeah, I think we can play Pong. Yeah, let's add Pong here. Cheetos. Burritos. Burritos are awesome. If anyone can think of another food, just tell me. I'm gonna try and be a bit healthy here, so I'm gonna add orange. We have Brent Scully now. So Brent Scully is another one of our developer evangelists at Twilio, and he's just joined us. Hey Brent, how's it going? Oh, caviar. Oh, we're going fancy. Caviar. Cool. We have some foods here, and that should be oyster. Let's add oyster as well. Why not? Cool. So we have some games we can play with a Tamagotchi. We have some foods we can give to a Tamagotchi. So, great. the last thing we need to do is we need to get access from this. So in Node.js, if you're working on a module like this, we call this a module. If you're working on a module, you need to export this module so you have access to it. So you just go module.exports and you export config. And config is this variable we just created here. So everything here is using config, right? This will give us access to the config.port, for example, config.actions, and then we get all the actions. And good. So remember, I said let's configure a number, and let's just use a Twilio number for this. Now I'm going to go into my Twilio account, and I will buy a number. I'll show you how to get a number. Okay. Before I show you how to get a number, if you wanna get information like the account seed and the auth token, all you need to do is just go to the getting started page, and hopefully it's not going to show my details because I need to go and expand it. And you can just click here, show API credentials, and you should be able to get your account seed and your auth token, which you can then add to your environment variables. Now, let's go ahead and buy a number. Buying a number at Twilio, super easy. I'm in the UK, so I'm going to buy a UK number, and I want a number with voice and SMS. Gonna click search now, and this should list me a bunch of numbers. I'm gonna go and just get the first one here. It doesn't really matter which one you get, but I'm gonna get the first one here. As long as it's got voice and SMS, you should be good. So buy this number. And once you bought the number, it just goes, yeah, you've purchased the number, set up this number, and you can set up however you want to set up. Cool. Back into my code, I could just go really quickly and change my environment variables, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat instead, and I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, that's just so I don't need to go and change my environment variables. You can change that if you want to, but in my case, I'm just going to go and paste it here. By the way, if you don't want to set these environment variables, just do what I did with the number. You can hard code. Yeah, so really good question. Are we going to phone up the Tamagotchi? No, I haven't built the phone your Tamagotchi. However, I really don't like to just have a number that doesn't have much information here, like why I'm building stuff. Okay, so what I did earlier is I set up a couple of Twiml URLs, one for voice and one for SMS, which it basically means you're gonna have to either call my number or you're gonna have to send me an SMS to know what's behind these URLs. Okay, my suggestion is just go and find out. This is I think calling is nicer. The number is right here, so it's +44 1483 312582 +44 1483. Do you know what? I reckon I can just add this to. Should I just add this here so you can text it? Let me just add this really quickly. So text number. Cool. So I think you can probably see this number right here. This is the telephone number I just bought. That's the telephone number you can text or you can call if you want to. Yeah, buy a Twilio number to call that number, why not? Yeah, cool, it's on the chat as well. Right, so let's carry on. We have a Twilio number now. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that Twilio can actually see this application. One way you can do that is you could just go and deploy this application right now. So you can put it on Heroku, for example, and deploy it. What I like to do is I use ngrok for this. Ngrok is awesome because it basically lets you serve the application locally from your local machine. The way you do that is you just go ngrok. You can just download ngrok from ngrok.com, and you just go ngrok HCP 8000, and whatever subdomain you want, if you want to use a subdomain. I'm going to post in the chat how you do that in case you want to run. So I'm running ngrok locally here, and basically what it does is it gives me this nice subdomain here, emplacona.ngrok.io. So if you were to try and hit this subdomain right now, I think you should be able to see my local application here. Wait for a bit of luck. Yeah, hello world. So you should be able to see that now. Okay, so emplacona.ngrok.io, and then you see my local environment here, and I can see when you're making your requests. And Phil just posted a, yeah, it's a really sweet blog post about how to use webhooks and how to use ngrok. Yeah, ngrok is awesome. But cool, back to what we were doing. We've created this config file here. Now we've started ngrok, and I think it's about time. Yeah, you might have written it. Yeah, shameless plug, right? I think it's about time we actually get Twilio to talk to our application, or let's just configure Twilio to talk to our application. So I'll go back into my Twilio number here, and I'll update my Twilio SMS to http://emplacona.ngrok.io/interact. Okay, you will notice I've not created this endpoint yet, because that's what we're going to do now. So just stay with me, and we're going to do this in just a second. Cool, that's updated. That's really sweet. You can still call this number, by the way, if you want to call it, and yeah, you should be able to see. You should be able to see. You should be able to hear what's going on. Sweet. I'm going to create a new file called Tamagotchi. So this is going to be our Tamagotchi object. Okay. So we're going to be creating new instances of Tamagotchi every single time our Tamagotchi is born. Okay. I quite like this actually. Tamagotchi is born, creates a new instance. I quite like the idea of this. Touch and Tamagotchi. So Tamagotchi.js. So I've just created a new file called Tamagotchi.js, and as you can see, it just plopped in here. Again, I'm gonna import I'm gonna import util here because we're gonna be using some string manipulation again. And you do that by just going require and util, and then you get total access to that, which is cool. Now I'll create a new variable called Tamagotchi. That's going to be my object. Like, Tamagotchi is super weird to spell. But, so if I get it wrong at some points, just let me know. And this Tamagotchi will be a function. So this is basically the constructor of my object. So whenever I create a new instance of Tamagotchi, I'm going to have a name, and I also want to have what I'm doing. So I also want to have pet. You will know what pet actually means in a second, and food. Okay. Now inside this Tamagotchi, I want it to be created with some default attributes. The way I do that is this .name is like, I'm basically saying this object Tamagotchi.name is name, which is the name I'm gonna pass to it. This .pet equals pet, because I am petting my Tamagotchi with something, and it could be any of these things here. So hangman, so whatever I'm playing with it. These.food equals food. So I think you get the idea, right? Now I'm also going to start my Tamagotchi with some default attributes, like hunger, for example. When my Tamagotchi is born, it's not going to be hungry. If I play with it, then it gets hungry. I also want to make sure that my Tamagotchi is awake when it's born. Like, I don't want it to be asleep. So I'm going to set that to true. and my Tamagotchi is going to be happy as well, because it's just been born, so it should be happy. So this is the really nasty thing. When you feed a Tamagotchi too much, it needs to poop. So you need to know how much poo it has. It starts with 0, but this will increase, okay? And obviously when it's born, its age is 0. So I'm just creating some default parameters to my Tamagotchi. Obviously I'm gonna pass in a name, I'm gonna pass in how I'm petting it and the foods. I'm gonna say it's not hungry, I'm gonna say it's awake. It's pretty happy. It doesn't need to poop. And it's 0 years old because it's just been born, okay? So it's pretty much like a human. Yeah, you get it. Right, so there has to be some actions I can do with this Tamagotchi. So let's just make a comment here and call these actions, which are the things you can do with it, okay? One of the things you can do with it is you can play with it. To add methods to a class in JavaScript, you can just use the prototype. So Tamagotchi.prototype.play. That way I'm going to be able to call Tamagotchi, so the instance of my Tamagotchi.play. And this is obviously a function. Yeah, Phil was just saying he's really says he's never written a program that includes the line this.poo. Yeah, I know. But yeah, this is your chance now, Phil. So Tamagotchi. So back to here, Tamagotchi.prototype.play. So I want to be able to play with my Tamagotchi. Like I said, whenever you play with a Tamagotchi, whenever you play with a pet, it gets hungry, right? So I'm gonna say that this.hunger plus plus. So it will get hungry by 1 point. Oh yeah, so Attilian just said sometimes he finds this program is the poo. Yeah, Attilian, I get that. Yeah, sometimes it is. So going back to here, we're saying that whenever we play with the Tamagotchi, it gets hungry, but it also gets really happy. So let's make it happy. So this.happy plus plus. So every single time we do plus plus, we increase these things by 1 point. So it goes from 0 to 1 to 3. So we just increase that by 1 point. And what I want to do now is I want to return, and this is where the util comes in. So util.format, and I want to say something like, so when you use %s, you're just basically using interpolation on your string. So I'm going to say %s played a nice game of, and the game is whatever game I just played. Okay. We're not going to be passing a game every single time. We just want to say play. And whatever this Tamagotchi plays is a random thing, okay? So we're just going, the name of my Tamagotchi plays a nice game of, and %s, okay? So right now we just need to pass some variables. One of them is this.name, which is the name of my Tamagotchi. The other one, and I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna copy this one because it's pretty long. This one is basically me saying I'm gonna get one of the pet items from my pet array, which is this one, and I'm using this math.floor, math.random to just get a random number from that array, and this is the length of the array. So I just did that so I always get an item within the array size, okay? And that should give me a random item from here. So it will be like Hangman, Tic-Tac-Toe, Human Knot, any of those games, okay? And that's it. So this is my play function. Now, I want to implement a few different things here. So I want to implement a feed, for example, because I want to be able to give my Tamagotchi some food. So I can just say feeds. I can just press the feed button and I'll just give it some food. So it goes the same way. Tamagotchi dot prototype dot feed equals function. Again, another function. And now, what happens when you eat? So if I feed my Tamagotchi, it's just not gonna be hungry anymore, or the level of hungriness of this Tamagotchi will go down. Okay, but first, before I feed it, I want to know if it's hungry. Okay, so I'm gonna check that this.hunger is greater than 0, because if it's not hungry, I don't need to feed it. Okay, so I'll have an if and an else here. In fact, I don't really need an else, because if it's not hungry, I just return not hungry. Not hungry. Okay, good. So I'm checking, is my Tamagotchi hungry? If it is, then I'll do something. If not, I will just return not hungry. Right. Again, if anyone has any questions, just let me know. Just send it on the forum. Send it on the chat. Sorry, not on the forum, the chat, and I'll be happy to try and answer your question. So, like I said, this.hunger equals not equals this.hunger minus minus. So we were using plus plus before to increase that. Now we're gonna decrease it. So we're just gonna use minus minus. This.poo, because now our Tamagotchi ate, which means now it's gonna need to poop. And I am gonna, again, I'm just gonna copy the messages. So these messages are pretty much always the same thing. So I'm just return util.format, name of my Tamagotchi, just say some delicious something, and then I just pick something random off here, off my array. Okay, so now I can feed it, I can play with it, and this is pretty cool. We're going to be adding some other things here later, but I think for now, having a means of playing and feeding it is enough. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to add some different things later in here. Right now, I wanna define some line 23 deals. Oh yeah, very good, Capjix. Thank you very much. Cool. So like I said, when you have a module, you need to make sure that you export this module. So if we go module dot export equals export equals Tamagotchi, and this means I'll be able to access Tamagotchi from outside this function, which is very nice. I need to have a way to communicate with this Tamagotchi, which, as we talked about before, I'm just going to use Twilio to do that. So I'm going to create a new file called message, and this is the file that will have some information about how to create messages. So how I talk to the Tamagotchi and how the Tamagotchi talks to me. Inside this file, I'm going to import config. Config is inside my application, so I just use / to get config. And I am also gonna import Twilio, and I do that by just requiring Twilio. Cool. Notice how I require Twilio like this, and I require config with a / So anything inside my application, I just use a /. Anything that is installed, I just use Twilio, and Node.js will know what this means. Cool. So I've just required Twilio. now that I've required it, I want to create a new Twilio REST client, okay? I want to create a new Twilio REST client because I want my Tamagotchi to be able to send me messages, okay, using Twilio's REST API. The way I create a new REST client is I create a client variable and I just go new Twilio, which is a reference to this dot REST client. So I'm creating a REST client. Now there's two things I need to pass when I create a REST client. I need to pass a account seed. Remember, we've set this Twilio config variable in the config.js earlier. And I want to use the account seed. The other thing I want to pass is the authentication token. And I think I called that auth token. Yeah, auth token. Cool. So this is how I create a new Twilio REST client. Super easy, right? Now I wanna, because this is another module, I just wanna export some functions out of here. I could just add them to an object like I did here and then just export at the end with module.export, or I could just export the function directly. So I'm just going to go ahead and export the function. Export.send. So I want to be able to call message.send later, and this is going to be a function. Now that's when I start calling Twilio. So clients.send SMS. This is a Twilio function, and when I call send SMS, I'm going to pass an object to it as well with a to, which is config.mynumber. So I wanted to send SMS messages to my number, as opposed to just sending SMS messages to any number. I just want it to go to my number. From, which is config.twilio config.number. Is it what I said before? Yeah, number. And I need a body as well. So this is what the text is going to be. The body will be just a message, which will come as an argument to the send function. So it takes a message as an argument. Okay, so send an SMS message using Node.js or Twilio is just that. Basically, you create your REST client to, from, body, done. Now, there's some extra stuff I like to add here, which is I want to check that there's been any errors, for example. So if anything wrong happens, I just want to make sure that we properly catch this. You don't really need to do this, but I always like to do that. I find that it helps me out on the long run. So I'm gonna check that if there's no errors. Okay, so if nothing wrong happens, I just want to say console.log, and I want to go with success. Hey, nothing happened. Okay, else anything happens, I want to go console.log and say something like whoops, an error happens. And I also want to know what the error is. Which I can just get information from here. Okay, so let me just check I'm closing all my parentheses correctly here. So I think this is right, but we're gonna find out. In the time being, I'm gonna create one for Twimo as well. So Twimo is what you use with Twilio when you want to tell it what to do. So we've just used the REST API to create SMS messages. When you use Twimo, Twimo is a it's basically a set of XML verbs that you can use to tell Twilio what to do when it asks you. So remember how we configured our number, our Twilio number, to whenever we get an SMS message, Twilio needs to do something. Like whenever we get a new SMS message, Twilio does something. That's a webhook. So we configured Twilio to come into our application and ask us what does it need to do. We use Twiml for this. So we're just gonna create a function to return some Twiml as well. We do it the same way. So export Twiml. Sorry, export.twiml equals function, and this function also takes a message, and we just create a response, and this response will be a new Twiml response. So it's twilio.twiml response. And then we just return response dot message, because obviously we're going to be passing the message here into this function, and let's add the string to the end of it. I'm really not sure you need to use the toString at the end, because I think this is already, no, this might be an object that we're turning into a string. Yeah, okay. Let's just make sure we're returning a string right here. Cool. What did we do? So we just created two functions, one for sending an SMS message using Twilio REST client. Yeah, so Phil's saying we do need the toString. So yeah, we need to turn that into a string. We need to force that to be a string. So very good. So we've created a function for sending, and we've created a function for creating some Twiml. So whenever Twilio hits our application to ask us what to do, then we return some Twiml. Now, let's go back to our application, to the root of our application, which is the app.js. So this is where everyone comes to when they want to use our application. And let's import a few of the things we just created. One of them was config, and we're just going to require config like we've required before. Let's require Tamagotchi as well. Require, and this is again /Tamagotchi. And we'll require message. So what we're trying to do here is we're creating a config, a Tamagotchi, and a message require. So we can call those things from this page here. So require /message. So I can probably close config now. So we've done some work on Tamagotchi, message, and config, which I just closed, and now we're just requiring those things here. Now, why are we here? Remember how on config.js we set a port. We've created config.port. Let's use that. So we don't have a hard-coded value here. So we can just replace the 8000 with config.port, and our application should still work. But let's also create some other stuff here. Because we're going to start using those things, because we're going to be creating a Tamagotchi in just a second, like we're going to be creating a new instance of a Tamagotchi in just a second. Let's create some variables. So Tamagotchi is going to be one of them. The other one will be pet, which is equals config.actions.pet. So I'm just reading values from my config. And another one called food, which is config.actions.food. Cool. So we have three variables here. Tamagotchi that doesn't have anything. Eventually it will become an instance of a real Tamagotchi. We have a pet, and we have a food variable. Now, this is where, remember how we set in our Twilio account, we've set it to call interact. Now we're going to create this. This is the time we're going to create this thing. Oh, what just happened here? Oh. Cool. We're going to create this thing. So our application is no longer going to be just a hello world. It is going to have some more than this. As you can see, every single change I've been making into my application is just been restarting. This is also really useful because you know when your application breaks. Okay, so whenever you look into this and you see something like really broken, it just like, you know, whenever you don't see greens in there, it means you broke your application. So this is really helpful because it tells you that whether your application is still okay or not. You shouldn't replace unit tests with this though, because yeah. But it's a kind of a test-driven development. But yeah, you should be using unit tests instead. But anyway, let's just create a new route. I'm gonna copy this because I don't want to have to type this again. Like, you don't want to see me typing and making like typos all the time. I'll change this route to be post, and I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna make the path for this route interact. Okay, just like I've set up on my Twilio account. Cool, I still have a request and I still have a reply, but now I want to see what action I want to do with my Tamagotchi. So the actions could be stuff like play, for example, or feed. I just want to be able to tell my Tamagotchi what I want it to do. Oh, we've got some new people join. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not being horrible and not saying hello to people. The chat doesn't actually tell me when someone joins, but I see we have some new people. So yeah, just come and say hello. Just tell me where you're from and tell me what the weather's like. I'm in England, and surprisingly, the weather is actually quite nice today. But yeah, just come and say hello. Cool. Is it really cold? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to our code. We're just trying to create a new endpoint called interact, which takes a post. Okay. Now this interact will take a payload, which is the body. So that's basically what you pass to it when you make a post. Okay, so I've got some people saying that from Amsterdam, weather's great, useful stream. Yeah, thank you very much. It looks nice out in Reading, but I bet it's actually cold. Yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's what I'm suffering for, because I think it's nice outside, but obviously I'm inside. So I'm saying it's sunny, but maybe this is what I'm actually suffering from right now, because it just looks nice outside. But anyway, let's go back to our action. So how do we tell our Tamagotchi what to do? The one way we can do that is we just create a new variable called action, and we get request.payload.body. So this is whatever's being passed to this. Now let's create a status as well. So right now there's nothing. We're not setting the status to be anything. The status will be stuff like the Tamagotchi just played, or the Tamagotchi is asleep now, for example. We're gonna update this, and we're just gonna return this as a variable at the end of this. But cool. Now we know that you're passing something in. We have a variable to set up a status. So let's check that the Tamagotchi actually exists, okay? Because the first time you load this application, the Tamagotchi will not exist. So the way we do this is we just check if Tamagotchi is not, Tamagotchi is undefined. So if my Tamagotchi is actually undefined, I will create a new instance of Tamagotchi. Like I said, I've created a variable here for Tamagotchi earlier, so I'll just use that. So I'll go Tamagotchi equals new Tamagotchi. And I'm going to pass an action. So the action is whatever I decide to pass to it. I'm going to pass pet, and I'm going to pass food. So those are both the arrays I have. So the Tamagotchi can actually choose what it's gonna do. So what game it's gonna. Next up, I will return a status message. So status equals util.format, and let's go with something nice here. Hello, my name is, and I can use the %s for interpolation again, and I was just born. What do you wanna do? So that's like every single time the Tamagotchi is born, it will send a message that says this. So it will say its name, and it will tell you, it will ask you what you want to do. Okay? Now, if my Tamagotchi if it already exists, then there's other things I can do with it. So if I get time, I'm gonna add some extra stuff to this Tamagotchi, but I just feel like just going really simple right now and then just adding extra functionality to it as we go. So I'll create a switch statement. On this switch statement, I can check what action has been passed. So this is providing my Tamagotchi actually exists. Okay, so I'm in the else now. So to lowercase, I want to make sure that whatever you pass, I will be able to understand, because if you pass pet in lowercase, or if you pass pet in uppercase, for example, I just want to make sure that I can understand that and I can do something about it. Okay, so Attilian says he's doing a lot of Docker. Apparently Phil knows Attilian. Ruby and JS. Okay. So carrying on. I've just created this switch statement. I'm checking what action has been passed, and in case it's play, guess what? I'm gonna call the play methods which we've created in Tamagotchi. So I'm gonna go status equals Tamagotchi.play, and I'm gonna break. Okay, so remember what Tamagotchi.play does. It increases hunger, it increases happiness, and it returns a message. Let's create another case. Let's create a case for feed. So if I send the word feed to my Tamagotchi, again, status equals Tamagotchi.feed. Wow, what did I do here? Tamagotchi.feed, and let's break here again. Now, I can do many things here, like I can do wake, I can do sleep, poo, age, I can do many other things here, but the one thing I definitely need to have is a default. Okay, so if you pass me something that I don't know how to handle, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna return you a status message, which I'm going to copy. So on the status message, I'm going to tell you what actions you can do. Okay, so you can see that we haven't really implemented all the actions yet, but we're going to do that later. But you can do stuff like play, feeds. You can check for status, for example. You can check whether it's hungry. You can check the age. You can check whether it's happy. You can do all these things. Good. Now, what I have to do is I have to return a message, okay? Because like the way I return a message is by, I feel like I'm missing, well, we're gonna find out. I'm gonna reply with message.twimo passing the status, okay? So think about this. I send my Twilio number an SMS message. Twilio will come to my server and hit this endpoint, and then my server will return some Twimo saying this is what's going on, and this will be a text message as well. So you get your replies via text message all the time. Yeah, I think maybe I am missing. Well, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, so this is broken. App.js. Yeah, I feel like I'm missing. Okay, so this closes my switch. This is for my if else. This is for the beginning here. Okay, so what I seem to be doing. Yeah, so my server's up. Do you need to call reply on one of the modules you required? Yeah. Yeah, I just seem to have ignored. I just seem to have my reply on the wrong place here. Great. So what is going on now? I have my handler for this. I checked that I have a Tamagotchi. My Tamagotchi exists and everything. But yeah, too many curly braces, Phil. Yeah, I really suffer from this. I want my Tamagotchi to ask me what to do. So I want my Tamagotchi to be born at some point. And now this is gonna, let me close this. I seem to have two. Yeah, I seem to have two versions of. Good. Now, this is the crazy moment, okay? I'm gonna connect my phone and you will be able to see what's on my phone now, and hopefully there's not gonna be anything that anyone finds offensive. Or hopefully I'm not gonna get any notifications. Cool, so this is one I was testing earlier, okay? What I'm gonna do to this is I'm gonna change this first message here to say, well, I'm gonna create a variable called start. And on that, I'm gonna add some text, which is, what are you gonna name your pet? Then I'm gonna send an SMS message. Let's still leave this here. Then I'm gonna send an SMS message to myself, to my number, with this message. So the way I do that is message.send, because I've set this method earlier, and I'll pass start. And hopefully, when I save this, nothing's gonna break. Oh no, something just broke. Message.send. Message.send is not a function. Export message. Did I import message? /message. Yeah, so it's telling me message.send is not a function. So if anyone sees anything wrong in my code, just let me know. So export send. whose function passing a message. Yeah, I'm sure I'm just missing something here. Message required / message. So send. That's weird. This looks right to me. Message.send is not a function. Var message / message. That's super annoying because I can see it is a function. Yeah, I can't see what's wrong with it. Like, I know I'm importing. I know it's got the right name. I was thinking maybe I've got the wrong name here, but yeah, message.js exports.send message. That's really odd. Okay, let's try and create a exports.test function, and let's see if we can call this. I think you should just be able to do this, and then I can just call message.test. Yeah, so that works. So message.test works. Okay, that's good, because at least I know I'm going the right way here. Exports.send function message. Right, I'm gonna have to copy and paste a version I had here, which seems very similar except for format, and we'll see if that works. Oh, that's really odd. So I must have done something wrong on the other version for some reason, because this one works. I can't really see what's wrong with it, but I'm sure I've done something wrong with it. Yeah, I know, right? But anyway, we have a version that works, and like I said, on the beginning here, or if you look on this URL, you will be able to get the correct version of this code. But it must have been something I've done wrong when I was typing this, and that's why it wasn't working. But hey, I don't know if you noticed, but I think right now, hopefully, I should have got a message, which I did. Very good. So let's change this again. and save. So you will see that every single time you close your script and you open again, your pet will be born again. So you see that it starts up, then we get a message, and the message goes, what are you going to name your pet? So the server's up, so I should be getting a message in a second. See how I got success here? So the message was sent, and what are you going to name your pet? Great. So what am I going to name this pet? Anyone on the stream, anyone on the chat, just tell me a name. What would you like me to call the pet? We're going to be naming this pet a few times, so just tell me the first thing that comes to mind, and I'll just name it. Phil, come up with a name. Brand, Artelian, one of you just come up with one name. Jennifer, good. So I just, oh, Maximus, I like Maximus. Well, I'm gonna go with Jennifer now, and then I'll go with Maximus later. So I just typed in Jennifer, and when I send, you should see that something hopefully is gonna happen on my application. And yes. So what did we forget here? Because it obviously didn't bring me the name of it. It just came back with a %s. That's because I probably forgot to. Yeah, I didn't pass a variable here. Okay. So no, I just forgot to pass the variable. I just said to go Tamagotchi dot name, and now I should be getting a. I just saved it, so I should get another message. Yeah, so success means, yeah, I just got a message here. I'm gonna call this one Maximus. And hopefully it should now come back to me saying, hey, my name is Maximus. And that should be fine. Yeah, so hello, my name is Maximus, and I was just born. What do you want to do? So now is when I can start doing certain things with this, because I can actually start playing with it. So if I go play, I got a message saying Maximus plays a nice game of London Bridges. If I go play again, hopefully Maximus is going to play something else. Yeah, so tic-tac-toe. I can try and feed Maximus, for example, so. And then I should get something back saying, yeah, so just ate some delicious. Oh. So Maximus just ate some delicious burrito. Oh, yeah, everyone loves burrito. I bet Maximus is well happy now. If I try and feed again. So at some point here, yeah, so it just ate another burrito. Yeah, everyone loves burritos. If I try something else, like if I try wake, for example, I should just get a message saying, yeah, the actions are play, feed, sleep, wake, poo, and the status are age, hungry, or happy. Obviously, wake is one of the actions that we can use. However, we've not implemented this action yet, but we're going to do that now. So there are so many different actions you can add to it. I remember when I built this thing on the first time, I kind of went a bit crazy because I was adding all the sorts of things. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy and paste some of those things, because otherwise I'm gonna have to just type in all of them. But yeah, you can create as many things as you want, really. Cool. So back in my Tamagotchi, I'm gonna go to the bottom of it, and I'll just paste some of the different actions I can do. So I can make it sleep. So when I put it to sleep, I obviously need to check that it's awake. Every single time it sleeps, the level of poo increases, and it's not awake anymore. So you just get a message saying, in this case, Maximus is asleep. Let me stop this right now because I don't want it sending me messages. So we're gonna start this later. So you have a sleep, you have a wake. So now wake would work. You have a poop. So if you wanna take Maximus out for poop, this is how you do it. You have things like get sad, for example. So if you want Maximus to get sad when something happens, like to give an example, every time I eat too much, I get sad. So I can do things like these.get sad. And then Maximus will get a little bit sad. And obviously every single time he gets sad, it will you will need to play with it. So Phil is asking a question here. Can you get the current stats? Yes, you can get the current stats. So let's carry on and I'll show you how to get the current stats. If I wanted to do stuff like if I wanted to check the age, for example, I can do Tamagotchi dot, because I have all this information, prototype dot get age equals function, and I can return util.format. Okay, so I'm just using util again, and I can say percent. Let me just minimize this for the time being and just make this a little bit bigger. So I can just go percent s age. So percent s is the name of my Tamagotchi, and the age is percent d because it's a double. Okay. Then these dot name and these dot age. And this is how I get the age. Let's change that to get age. So this is how I go ahead and get the age. If I wanted to do other things like check whether my Tamagotchi is hungry, for example, I can do check hunger. And all I need to do from the app.js is I need to ask those questions, okay? And I'm going to show you how to ask those questions. So I can do check hunger, for example, to see if my Tamagotchi is hungry, and I can do check happiness as well to see how happy my Tamagotchi is. And I think you'll probably find that somewhere here I'm actually checking these things. So I've got the get sad stuff when it eats. I check things like, well, if it's awake, then it can go to sleep. If it's not, then just don't go to sleep. I can check when I take it out for poop, for example. I can say, does it have to go out? I can check the happiness as well. So if my Tamagotchi is not happy, or if the level of happiness is higher than 0, I can just make it a little bit sad. And this is cool because you're basically just adding some life to it. This one here is the really sad one. This is when it gets old. Like, this is when you start to add some age to it. And every single time you do it, every single time it ages, it gets a little bit sad because it's aging. But the beauty of this is, even though it gets sad because it's aging, it never dies. Okay? As soon as you get this thing going, it's just not going to die. Unless you restart the server, in which case it will just be born again. Other than that, it just never dies, which is what I really love about it. I just noticed my camera doesn't seem to be displaying, which is weird. Anyway, I'm going to carry on. My camera doesn't seem to be displaying, but I'm going to carry on. Cool. So we've just added all these things to the Tamagotchi so we can check its age. Now, let's add the extra options, because we've added play and we've added
feed.
The song I found is marked explicit. Here's a sample of
Fancy. Alexa, stop. Oh wow, this is my Alexa going on about something I just said. And apparently it's marked explicit. Cool, so I'm just gonna paste some different things I can do here. One of them is if I send wake, then wake up. If I send, is that better? Yeah. So, boom, age, hungry, happy. So yeah, just answering Phil's question earlier, you can get the status of it. So you can just send stuff like age or hungry or happy. And if you send those things, then you will get the status, because it's basically calling like check age. I think we call that get age. Check hunger, check happiness. So you will be able to get the status. But let's give it a go just to see if it's all working. Node.mon. See if it didn't break anything. Yeah, the server's up, success. It means I should probably be getting an SMS message in a sec. Yeah. So what are you gonna name your pet? Celine said Kenny earlier, so let's name our pet Kenny. Cool, so our pet has just been born. Now I send age, boom, it seems to be broken. Tamagotchi.getAge is not a function. Well, yeah, we seem to have a did I call that getAge? Like, it's the second time this happens. Tamagotchi.prototype.getAge. Let me try something else. Because yeah, I seem to be... Yeah, so get age. Get age. And yeah, get age. Tamagotchi.getAge. So I've got the message. Kenny. I'm gonna try and play first. And Susan breaks, so I should be getting a message in a second. Yeah. Sleep. Let's see what happens when I put it to sleep. Yeah, it just went to sleep. Wake. And it just woke up. Age. Yeah. Age seems to break it for some reason. I'm really not sure why. Everything else works, but get age just breaks. And it's saying the function doesn't exist. Tamagotchi.prototype.getAge. Jean-Michel. That's a French name. Yeah, I'm totally gonna call it Jean-Michel. Yeah. Get age function. Percent as percentage this dot name this dot age. Let's try calling this Jean-Michel. As soon as I get the message. Barry the Terrible. Oh, this is really interesting. So, age works now. It was broken because I forgot to add the semicolons here. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, it was missing a semicolon here. And it was missing a semicolon here as well. What's gonna be... Yeah, Barry the Terrible is gonna be a good name. Yeah, you're gonna wanna stick around with Barry the Terrible. Maybe I'm just gonna name it like last, so it survives. Yeah, Kevjix. Yeah, it was the missing semicolon. Yeah, because now it works. Like now when I do age, it works. If I do stuff like I think it's hungry that I named it. I can check whether it's hungry. Yeah, so hunger level is 0. Obviously, it's not hungry. If I play with it, you will see that it will get hungry. Yeah, so I just played. Now I'm gonna play again, and I think the level of hungerness should be 2. Now, if I say hungry, then it should be 2. It's obviously happy. But yeah, the level of hunger is 2. Now, cool. I feel like we almost have a Tamagotchi working. Yeah, Phil is saying he always includes semicolons. Yeah, I know. It's just weird that it wouldn't work without the semicolons. But I'm thinking it's maybe something to do with like using prototype here. But yeah, you should always be adding semicolons. Cool. So I'm just gonna tell you what happens when I built this thing for the first time. Okay. It's pretty nice to play with it. It totally looks okay. But I was feeling like it's very predictable. It is really, really predictable, okay? Like, you know it's gonna get hungry, you know you're gonna have to play with it, but it's super predictable. Like, you can play with this for years and you will know exactly how old it is and how hungry it gets and everything. So, what I felt was, I just wanted to add some life to it, okay? Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I was just trying to see if I could find my camera here, but I just think I must have totally removed my camera for some reason. Let's see if I can add it in, or if it's just gonna break everything. Video capture. Wow, you can see me again. Well, I'm gonna make this really small. But yeah, I'm happy you can see me again. So, as I was saying, I just wanted to add some life to this thing, okay? Because it just gets super predictable. So I came up with a function which I called odds. I can really think of a better name for this, so I'll just call it odds. And this function basically it does 2 things. It calculates a percentage of chance of something happening. Okay, so if I do something like, let me just open the chat again so I can talk to people. Cool. So if I do something like odds and then I go 10, 2, there's an 80% chance that a number above 2 will get picked up. Okay, so this is where this is what I was trying to do. I was just trying to come up with some random amounts here. The reason I was trying to come up with some random amounts is I wanted to create this function, which I'm gonna paste here right now, and then I'm gonna try and explain it. So this is the AI simulate function. So it just does it just tries to do some simulation. If I do something like 150, I'm saying there's a 50% chance that my Tamagotchi will be asleep, or there's a 50% chance it's going to be awake. If I do 10-3, there's a 70% chance that my Tamagotchi is going to have a poop. 10-2, 80% chance it's going to age. So what I wanted to do was I wanted my Tamagotchi to just have some life. Okay, every single time I play with it, I want one of these things here to happen, or multiple of these things here to happen. Okay, and those will be by the percentage. It will get sad on its own sometimes. Okay, even if you play with it, it will get sad, and it will get sad on its own. I have some checks here, like if the happiness is 1 and like get a 50% chance, or happiness is 0, I'm gonna increase the poop and I'm gonna increase the hunger. And I'm also gonna say, hey, take better care of the Tamagotchi, or give the Tamagotchi some food. So I'm checking, well, if it's too hungry, if it's anything above 5, just send me a message saying give me some food, okay? Because it's very, like, the one thing about the level of predictability of this is it's very easy for you to just keep on playing with it, and you will never know what's going on unless you ask it. What I was trying to do is I was trying to not have to ask it every single time. I was trying to make sure it tells me when something is happening, and this is why I put this code together. Okay, so this is my little artificial intelligence here, where I do some simulations, and the beauty of it is it will happen. My AI simulations will happen as soon as my application runs. Right, so let's go back here, and I am gonna, so whenever I send this reply here with tumor.status, I'm gonna add Tamagotchi.ai simulate. So every single time before I reply to something, I'm gonna call this function. Okay, so every single time I do something, I call this function. Let's go back to my emulator. You see I've got what are you going to name your pet, which means my pet is alive again. Do I have another name here? Does anyone want to give me another name for my pet? Maybe Hakurio13. Do you wanna maybe shout out a name for the pet? Just anything you fancy. Just give me one name for this pet. Or should we just go with Barry the Terrible? Alright, I'm gonna, yeah, Barry the Terrible. Cool. So hopefully I didn't get anything wrong, or maybe I did. Internal implementation error. Oh, I just keep on getting this. This is getting annoying. So I can straight away see I've missed one here. This is so weird. Like I did not. Yeah, I've done Jean-Michel once already. Yeah, I've not seen this thing before. Like I think it's to do with the semicolons, but let's see. Because yeah, this is so weird. Like you shouldn't John Michel. Let's wait until I get a message. Server's up. Success. And wait until I get a message. Call the Tamagotchi mark as the semicolon Placona. Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should. Yeah, so what am I going to name my pet? Send that. And let's see what happens. Oh, it's the semicolon again. Because now it doesn't break. So... Oh, does it not? Play. Yeah. So Jean-Michel just played a nice game of tic-tac-toe. And let's just keep on playing with it, because I think at some point one of these things here is gonna kick in, and I'm gonna get. So if I just keep on playing with it, yeah. Yeah, Phil, this one's for you. So Jean-Michel just ate some delicious caviar. Yeah. So if I just keep on playing with it, at some point I should get a message saying, "Hey, I'm really hungry now, so please just give me some food." Yeah, it's still running. Yeah. Jean-Michel just plays a nice game of Pong. And human art. So we played, what, 3 times now? I reckon whenever we get to 5... Well, we can actually ask. Hungry. And then it should tell me how hungry it is. Yeah, level 3. So play again. And I'm going to leave another play ready here for when I get the message. So you just keep on, like, you just keep on playing with it, and then you will see that at some point you will just get a message saying, "Hey, I'm like starving right now, so can you just give me some food?" And like whenever, sometimes it will just, like the level of happiness will get to 0, and whenever it gets to 0, you will just get a "please take better care of the Tamagotchi." Do I have any questions right now? Like, does anyone want to ask any questions about this? So yeah, for the new people, for the people who came in just after we started, I'm just gonna post a couple of URLs here, just so they can give this thing a go. You can totally follow the blog post, which is here. And if you want to have a look at my code, so if you want to have a look at the code I wrote, you can get it from here. Cool. So you see that on this repository, Twilio Tamagotchi, you have all the stuff that you need, and I think there's a Heroku button as well, which you can just push and add all of your Twilio keys, all of the authentication keys and everything, and you're done. Like you have a Tamagotchi running, and you can start playing with this. Yeah, it also has a button to deploy to Heroku, so you should be able to just use this thing, and you'll be rolling. Yeah, deploy. Yeah, I just have to say this, but what a beautiful world we're living right now, where you can just deploy your own Tamagotchi. It's like, if there was anything you've been waiting for, I think deploying your own Tamagotchi will be one of them. So with that, I think we've done with the code, unless anyone has any questions. Anyone wants to ask me any questions? Now, one thing I have to say is I just want to thank everyone who came out to see me here, Kev Jigs, and everyone who really participated in us, people trying to help me with my code, and obviously I was forgetting every single semicolon possible. So I just really want to thank everyone. One thing I want to say is, if you really like this, just follow me on Twitch, or just add me as a friend on Twitch, and I'll be happy to add you as a friend on Twitch as well. And I promise I'll come and see your streams when you do any streams. If you like to play games, I'm totally gonna watch your gaming. And yeah, don't forget to follow me. The last thing I want to say is, we have a conference coming up, which is called Signal. Signal is an awesome developer conference, which is happening in 91 days, 6 hours, 49 minutes, and 26 seconds. So it's pretty close. It's closer than you think, actually. This is a developer conference in San Francisco on the 24th and 25th of May on Pier 27. It's going to be absolutely awesome. But the one thing I wanted to tell you is, if you sign up for Signal right now, but you need to do it right now. No, I'm joking, you don't need to do it right now. But if you sign up for Signal and you use the code EMPLACONA20, you get 20% discount. So I'm just going to type it in the URL here. EMPLACONA20 is the code you want to use. And if you use this code during sign up, you get a 20% discount. So pretty easy, not much you need to do. And Phil is just saying, use code PNASH20. It's fine, use whatever code. We're really not getting any kind of kickback on this. Just use the code and you get 20% discount. Thank you so much for seeing me. Like I said, don't forget to follow me on Twitch.